Our busy lifestyle has to lead us to many improper practices like consuming unhealthy food, etc. Through this project, we can consume vegetables and fruits cultivated using organic fertilizers. We can save a lot of money by growing our own vegetables and fruits. By growing our own food, we are not using chemicals or pesticides that can harm environment. Gardening is a fun way to get outside for some fresh air and physical activity. Welcome to Suya e-learning for food security, climate change, school feeding program, nutrition education for all. When you have bad governance and poor accountability from your local government leaders, then you are doomed to live under control of cartels and fools. We hope you subscribe to our channel YouTube at Suya Mombasa and share this link with your friends or family.
Agriculture and food. Agriculture can help reduce poverty, raise incomes and improve food security for 80% of the world's poor, who live in rural areas and work mainly in farming. The World Bank Group is a leading financier of agriculture. Healthy, sustainable and inclusive food systems are critical to achieve the world's development goals. Agricultural development is one of the most powerful tools to end extreme poverty, boost shared prosperity, and feed a projected 10 billion people by 2050. Growth in the agriculture sector is 2 to 4 times more effective in raising incomes among the poorest compared to other sectors. But agriculture-driven growth, poverty reduction, and food security are at risk. Multiple shocks, from COVID-19 related disruptions to extreme weather, pests, and conflicts, are impacting food systems. The goal of ending global hunger by 2030 is currently off track. Conflicts, climate change, and high food prices are driving food and nutrition insecurity. This development node should provide agricultural support services to extensive and plantation agricultural, intermodal transfer facilities between road and rail, tourism activities based on the historical significance of the area, arts and crafts, service industries linked to agricultural activities, retail, commercial, complementary social facilities, and housing provision.
Train farmers on climate-smart agriculture. The dry season is lengthening and hunger and malnutrition are on the rise. Training farmers on planting techniques, making and using fertilizer and pesticides, and climate-smart plowing, harvesting and storage helps increase crop yields and avert crop failures. It improves food quality, and therefore price at market, and reduces waste. And all of this increases smallholder farmers' incomes. The world's smallholder farmers, who provide up to 80% of sub-Saharan Africa's food, are under siege. Endemic poverty in combination with the impacts of climate change, like droughts, flooding, erratic rainfall and soil depletion, are all reducing crop yields and causing widespread crop failures. This is driving smallholder farmers deeper into subsistence farming and poverty. Train farmers on climate-smart agriculture. The dry season is lengthening and hunger and malnutrition are on the rise. Training farmers on planting techniques, making and using fertilizer and pesticides, and climate-smart plowing, harvesting and storage helps increase crop yields and avert crop failures. It improves food quality, and therefore price at market, and reduces waste. And all of this increases smallholder farmers' incomes. The fatigue of the work is rewarded by the future growth it starts, so a metaphorical seed planted in someone could one day blossom and lead to something equally wonderful. We live in such an instant feedback world that when someone doesn't respond immediately or at least quickly to something, isn't it pretty common to see them being written off? Or being confronted, sometimes harshly? Increasing women's capacity produces immediate results for children because women put up to 90% of their earnings back into their households, much higher than the estimated 35% by men, UNFAO, 2016. Women spend the income they earn on food, health care, and education for their children, and also reinvest it in their own income-generating activities, disrupting the cycle of poverty. What is zero hunger? Zero hunger is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and is defined as the objective to ensure that everyone has access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and preferences, and that all people have the ability to acquire the food they need without compromising their economic, social, and environmental well-being.
A tool for SDG 1 and leaving no one behind. The MPI is a key tool to track progress towards Target 1.2 and poverty reduction according to national definitions by 2030. National MPIs are built on national definitions of poverty in terms of indicators measured, weights chosen, and poverty cutoffs selected. How does the MPI support the SDG agenda? The Multidimensional Poverty Index, MPI, is a measure that helps to monitor progress towards SDG 1. The MPI illuminates for policymakers who is poor, how they are poor. It is based on OFI's Alkire-Foster method for multidimensional measurement. An MPI enables countries to support the SDG agenda because it helps countries leave no one behind. MPI analysis allows policymakers to see poverty levels within different groups of a population, for example enabling them to monitor poverty in different subnational regions, across rural and urban areas, and within groups such as children, ethnic groups and caste. Monitor progress, the MPI can.
People are able to participate in the life of the country and community. Fairer distribution of wealth. Increased political, environmental stability. Sustainable economic growth. Healthier, happier life for everyone. Less dependence by one nation on another. Provision of basic needs for all. Increased interdependence between nations. Should leave no one behind. Enhances your problem-solving skills. Educators encounter many challenges in the classroom, such as managing student behavior, adapting curriculum to suit the needs of individual students, and learning new technology. Nevertheless, possessing the toolkit of critical thinking skills empowers you to assess these challenges objectively and develop solutions that will change these problems. Stimulates your curiosity. Critical thinking can stimulate your curiosity, igniting your desire to dig deeper into concepts, theories, teaching methods, or other subject matter. It can inspire you to expand your knowledge and craft as an educator. By asking questions of yourself or your students, you are fostering an environment of curiosity and lifelong learning. These 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, agreed upon in 2015 by world leaders, aim to create a better, fairer world by 2030, ending poverty, urgently addressing climate change and ending inequality. The Sustainable Development Goals are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. They address the global challenges we face, including those related to poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace and justice. The 17 goals are all interconnected, and in order to leave no one behind, it is important that we achieve them all by 2030. The 2030 Development Agenda calls on all countries to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture. According to the Ministry of Health, Kilifi County has the highest number of stunted children in Kenya, with 1 in every 3 children affected. Increasing women's capacity produces immediate results for children because women put up to 90% of their earnings back into their households, much higher than the estimated 35% by men, UNFAO, 2016. Women spend the income they earn on food, health care, and education for their children, and also reinvest it in their own income-generating activities, disrupting the cycle of poverty. The 2030 Development Agenda calls on all countries to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture. According to the Ministry of Health, Kilifi County has the highest number of stunted children in Kenya, with 1 in every 3 children affected. Africa has recorded progress on many of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals since 2000, however, the current pace of progress has been insufficient to achieve the goals by 2030. The 2030 Agenda. Member states recognized many challenges to sustainable development, including the fact that billions of citizens continue to live in poverty and are denied a life of dignity, rising inequalities within and among countries, enormous disparities of opportunity, wealth and power, gender inequality, unemployment, in particular youth unemployment, the fact that global health threats, more frequent and intense natural disasters, spiraling conflict, violent extremism, terrorism and related humanitarian crises and forced displacement threaten to reverse much of the development progress made in recent decades. The present report describes the status of Africa in its implementation of the 2030 Agenda and a projection of where the region and its subregions will likely be in 2030 if the current trends and pace of progress are maintained. It comprises 2 main sections. Women's education and skills development. Educating girls increases their long-term earnings potential and reduces risks associated with early marriage and early childbirth for girls and young women. We must also focus on vocational training, upskilling, and reskilling for women to ensure they are capable of taking part in income-generating activities, including establishing and running their own businesses profitably. Mr. Ruto promises to double beneficiaries of school children feeding program from 1 to 4 million children. We are going to merge counties who have a plan on school feeding program, shilling for shilling, and if we do that, we can actually feed 8 million children in our schools. School feeding program at Roy Sambu Primary School on Tuesday the 20th of June, 2023, Ruto said that the government will increase the amount budgeted for the feeding program from shillings 5 billion to shillings 6 billion. Planting the seed in your subconsciousness. Earl Nightingale quoted, "Whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality." He was saying that by planting the seed and then believing it through repetition and emotion, reality begins to unfold. Most of us do this already, but we are not aware of it. We are not aware of it because our conditioned state is running in the background all the time. Our conditioned state begins when we're young. Most young children learn these conditioned states before 7 years old, and all of these beliefs continue to carry us throughout our lives. Some schools have established school gardens to supplement the school meal program, but inadequate space, farming inputs and poor attitude, knowledge and skills in farming hinder school gardening and optimal production for those who are already implementing school gardening. Furthermore, most of the government-led school meal initiative do not cover private schools. As such, even the low-cost private schools from urban slums do not benefit from school government's meal initiatives, despite the high levels of malnutrition, poverty and food insecurity in the communities that they serve. Children and young people have the same general human rights as adults and also specific rights that recognize their special needs. Children are neither the property of their parents nor are they helpless objects of charity. They are human beings and are the subject of their own rights. The Convention on the Rights of the Child sets out the rights that must be realized for children to develop to their full potential. The vision of the World Food Programme, WFP, is to reduce hunger among school children, so that hunger is not an obstacle to their development. The school feeding program is a significant intervention by WFP to help reduce vulnerability to hunger and protect and promote livelihoods by investing in human capital through better health, nutrition, and education. WFP has worked with governments and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, on school feeding programs for more than 45 years. Children start life as totally dependent beings. Children must rely on adults for the nurture and guidance they need to grow towards independence. Such nurture is ideally found from adults in children's families, but when primary adult caregivers cannot meet children's needs, it is up to the state as the primary duty bearer to find an alternative in the best interests of the child. Growing your own food is the most sustainable way to feed yourself and your family. When we grow our own food, we eat seasonally, locally, and sustainably. Growing your own food is like taking a master class in nutrition. Starting a garden. If you have a garden in your library, everything will be complete. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Life begins the day you start a garden. Chinese proverb. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. Henri Matisse. He who plants a garden plants happiness. Chinese proverb. More grows in the garden than the gardener sows. Spanish proverb. Gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes. Gardening is easy. Stick it in the ground the right way up and most plants will grow perfectly well. Monty Don. Most plants taste better when they've had to suffer a little. Deanna Kennedy. Hunger is a political weapon. Hunger is a political weapon. Allowing school children to go hungry is immoral, disgraceful, a strategy. A weapon of war. Hunger Games. Save the Children describes starvation as a war crime. Hunger is demeaning, degrading. It makes people feel dehumanized, unworthy, too weak to stand up and fight for their rights. Hungry people don't vote. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, signed by almost every country in the world in 1948, enshrines the right of all human beings to live in dignity, free from hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition. It defends the right to asylum, the right to freedom from torture, the right to free speech, and the right to education. Food insecurity, hunger, and inadequate funds in education has returned to Ethiopia again. It is now a growing problem in towns and cities across Britain. More than 1.5 million people in Britain often go a whole day without eating, Felicity Lawrence reported in The Guardian.
In the heart of Kenya, where food is more than just sustenance, it's a way of life, a revolutionary machine is about to change the way we think about making chapatis. Introducing the world's first automated chapati making machine, designed to bring tradition and innovation together. With precision engineering, this machine combines flour, water, and a pinch of magic to create the perfect dough, consistently, every time. The chapatis are cooked to perfection on a giant griddle, flipping and browning with precision, each one a masterpiece of tradition and technology. In just a few hours, this machine can produce 1 million chapatis, feeding entire communities and revolutionizing food production in Kenya. In Kenya, where chapatis are more than just food, this machine is a game changer. A perfect blend of tradition, technology, and innovation, feeding the future.
In rural Kenya, 1 in 4 children suffers from malnutrition. Many parents must choose between paying school fees or buying food for their children. Or they do not attend school at all. Nourishing children and the community. EACF strengthens school communities by nourishing children's bodies and minds. In collaboration with school leadership, women's groups, and other local leaders, EACF designs customized programs that enable communities to provide homegrown school meals.
health and nutrition have significant impact on the overall educational achievements of school-aged children. Ensuring that children are well fed, healthy and able to learn is essential to the effectiveness of an education system. The main goal of the school meals program is to support the government's effort towards attainment of universal primary education, UPE, and education for all, EFA. It has become a significant strategy for reaching marginalized communities, especially girls in the OSIL districts. The program has helped to increase enrollment, prevent dropout and stabilize attendance at assisted pre-primary and primary school. 1.1 Regular School Meals Program, SMP. The regular program involves the physical distribution of food commodities to schools. The bulk of the food is imported, though there are certain cases when food is procured locally, especially cereals. The regular SMP is implemented with support of World Food Programme, WFP, and provides midday meal tea.
Women's livelihoods. Women already do the bulk of the world's agricultural work, but much of their labor is unpaid. And, when it is paid, women do not earn as much as men. This is not only because of the gender pay gap, but also because women often are limited to growing lower-value crops, and they struggle to gain access to credit, productive land, and farm inputs such as high-quality seeds, tools and training. Support local food systems. School and community gardens can produce enough food to sustain school feeding programs and improve dietary diversity for students. In many communities, they are also important educational tools, introducing students to environmental, farming, and healthy eating practices that last a lifetime. There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oran Lyons. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family, or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment, food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities. Motor skills. Infants begin by developing basic motor skills such as grasping objects, reaching for toys, and eventually, rolling over and sitting up. These movements set the stage for later self-help activities. Feeding. As infants transition from breast or bottle feeding to solid foods, they learn to use utensils and develop the coordination needed to bring food to their mouths. Parents can encourage self-feeding by offering appropriate finger foods and child-friendly utensils. With the development of these skills, a child is able to complete important tasks such as writing, using scissors, engage in different types of play, use cutlery, complete dressing fastenings including buttons, zips and shoelaces.
Innovative programs based on systemic approaches, such as homegrown school feeding, are at the nexus of human capital development, local agriculture and rural transformation, and there is wide recognition of their multiple benefits in contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. It is through broad-based collaboration in strengthening effective and sustainable national school feeding programs and systems that true progress can be made in ending child hunger, ensuring that children receive the nourishment and education that will enable them to thrive. During their 2016 ordinary session, AU heads of state and government declared African Day of School Feeding, ADSF, on the 1st March of every year by AU Assembly, 589-26, on HGSF. Home, grown school feeding in improving health, nutrition and education of children. AU's Agenda 2063 aimed at fostering the skills, human capital, and education revolution in Africa.
Our holistic approach allows the learner to understand the network of relationships between humans and the natural environment from a personal point of view. School gardens are used for many other purposes, including STEM education, nutrition, food production, sensory learning, and social connections. These are all praiseworthy efforts to link learners and the school community to the natural environment.
The Constitution of Kenya, Article 55 in the Bill of Rights, obliges the state to take measures, including affirmative action programs, to ensure that the youth access relevant education and training, have opportunities to associate, are represented and participate in political, social, economic and other spheres of
Bad governance is mainly the relationship between the governing authority and those being governed due to the decision-making. As a result of the decision-making between the ruling and those who are being ruled, the problem of bad governance arises. External circumstances or decisions, such as violations of central or accepted norms, such as liberal democracy, and poor economic policy, generate this unfavorable relationship. Bad governance refers to government-level administration, although lousy and lousy governments are different. Corruption, deception, and the adoption of unfair policies are all examples of bad governance. As a result, other expressions of inadequate management have varying degrees of severity and potential influence in their respective settings. Bad governance. Bad governance refers to how decisions are made in government and business. It is also the polar opposite of good leadership. Bad governance entails systemic corruption and a lack of openness and accountability, arbitrary policymaking, and the deception of those who are ruled. The World Bank defines lousy governance as a country with any or all indicators have values less than or close to -2.5. The following are the World Bank's governance indicators: voice and accountability, rule of law, regulatory quality, control of corruption, government effectiveness. The sooner you introduce wholesome, nutritious choices into a child's diet, the easier they'll be able to develop a healthy relationship with food that can last them a lifetime. A healthy diet can also have a profound effect on your child's sense of mental and emotional well-being, helping to prevent conditions such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and ADHD. The National Food and Nutrition Security Council will be the highest decision-making body in the proposed structure. It will provide leadership and a national platform for review of progress on implementation of the Council will direct commitment of national resources for effective implementation of the FNS policy, provide policy direction, guidance and oversight on food and nutrition security matters, direct commitment of national resources for effective implementation of the Food and Nutrition Security Strategy. Approve and oversee the implementation of the National Food and Nutrition Implementation Framework. Ensure mainstreaming of national food and nutrition policy function by the national and county government. The Food and Nutrition Security Policy. The policy and associated actions will remain dynamic to address contextual changes and changing conditions over time. This policy is framed in the context of basic human rights, child rights, and women's rights, including the universal right to food. It is the policy of the government that all Kenyans, throughout their life cycle, enjoy at all times safe food in sufficient quantity and quality to satisfy their nutritional needs for optimal health. The government of Kenya is strongly committed to reducing hunger and malnutrition. This includes efforts to build self-reliance to reduce chronic food insecurity, as well as measures to assist those in need when emergencies occur. Linking relief with longer-term development efforts helps mitigate the potential impact of future emergencies. Food and nutrition security refers to a situation where all people, at all times, have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Nearly 30% of Kenya's children are classified as undernourished, and micronutrient deficiencies are widespread. How do we create a future for the world's children to survive, grow and thrive? It takes a village. By building strong communities today, you can help create sustainable food security for all their tomorrows. A community-led, holistic and integrated approach to making economic and social change works to feed children today and creates an enabling environment for a food-secure future. One of the fastest routes to reducing poverty and improving food security is to empower women. The UN states that a key to achieving zero hunger by 2030 is to provide women farmers with the same access to resources as men, which could reduce the number of hungry people in the world by up to 150 million. The UN Food Systems Summit, UNFSS, garnered global attention to the need to transform our food systems to ensure they contribute positively to people's nutrition and health, while protecting our planet. Countries submitted national pathways detailing their commitment and strategy towards food systems transformation. GLOPAN, CARE and WHO analyzed the pathways to determine how successfully health, nutrition, gender equality and systemic issues, including environmental and implementation policy actions, were integrated into these pathways. Objectives: this event aims to present a snapshot of how nutrition and health policy actions are integrated in food system transformation while taking a broader systematic approach. To share experiences from national conveners to provide an opportunity to learn how nutrition and gender policy action can be successfully integrated in national pathways to ensure they will deliver healthy diets from sustainable food systems for all. The double burden of malnutrition weighs heavily on Kenya's school-age children and adolescents, who make up a significant portion of the population at 36%. The World Health Organization advocates for food systems that prioritize healthy, sustainable diets to address the burden of malnutrition, especially in developing nations like Kenya. National policies, including the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Vision 2030, and the Food and Nutrition Security Policy 2012, underscore the importance of nutrition for all citizens. Increased government funding for school feeding programs to enrich meal diversity and nutritional quality, alongside the establishment of essential facilities for optimal implementation, as underscored in the study. Expansion of school feeding initiatives to encompass low-cost private schools, particularly in low-income and food-insecure areas like urban slums. Implementation of school gardens and adoption of innovative, resource-efficient farming practices, bolstered by agricultural extension services to equip students and school staff with agroecological food production skills. Integration into existing government initiatives, such as the 4K Club's Young Farmers Clubs launched in 2021, could facilitate this process. Subsidization of food production and transportation costs to mitigate high food prices while empowering local communities, especially youth and women, to participate in the school food supply chain. This presents an opportunity for youth employment and income generation.
Church these days, pastor is busy receiving money, doesn't even care where it's from. People dying, others hungry, but his mind, it's on how to get richer. It's on how to get richer. No more fishing of souls, they now fish dollar signs. Corruption, they won't speak. They won't speak. Bad governments, they won't speak. Everything is fine as long as they guide. Our problem is not theirs, they only want the tithe. Reject the church, reject the church, reject the church. They stand in pulpits with pockets full of money, preaching humble living, yet living low.
There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oren Lyons. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family. Or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment. food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities.